Shall we just take questions?
Yeah, you can do.
Well, the stunned Sony executive looked down at me and Dave and said, that was like John Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast on acid for kids.
Getting some prima donnas, some tea. How do you guys actually...
I just remember, you know, tripping over this body in an alley, just looking down. He was drunk, he was washed up, he was, you know... And I said, you know, have you ever thought about drawing? We have to get you off the streets. And he said, please, give me money. And I said, no, we have to find you a career. I could give you money, but, you know, give a person a fish and they've got a... And they're creating art. But if you teach them how to fish, then one day they will have a pool full of exploding koi. And...
That's absolutely true, oddly enough. Yeah.
I was interviewed for the Mirror Mask DVD extras thing, which there's a very shady-looking gentleman just there filming us for that. And one of the questions I was asked was, what is it with Dave McKean and his obsession with masks? And I said, well, I don't know that Dave likes to talk about this, but when he was very small, he was frightened by a man in a mask, and this guy just sort of jumped out at him, and Dave stopped talking to anybody for a while, and the nurses only got him out of it by wearing these funny masks. And it was very peculiar, because Simon, our producer, who was doing the interview, was sitting nodding and obviously very pleased that he was finally getting the truth. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I'm saying he's lying there, this little, you know, 5-year-old Dave with this little 5-year-old beard, and he's... Simon realized I had no idea.
What was the collaboration process like?
We always had separate roles, I think. All the books before, we've had pretty well demarcated roles, and the film script was much more of a mush, and we actually had to sit there together and work it out. And I wanted to be around. Initially, I didn't want to, you know, I'm happy not to write it, but I just wanted to be around to make sure that what was being written was going to be doable for such a ridiculously small amount of money and a small amount of time. So that's why I wanted to be around. I didn't realize it was going to cause Neil so much suicidal pain. But it was interesting, and we did work through it. We did both. It was like therapy, you know. We both sat on the couch and we did work through it. And we had lots of Muppets around to help us. Very strange house. Wonderful house. It was great, but Jim Henson's house. But there are people who like to be surrounded by their own creations, and those that don't. I don't. I prefer not to have my own stuff around, and I prefer looking at other people's things on the wall. Jim obviously loved to have his own creations around, Muppets everywhere, and a fantastic living room. And it really was great. There was a piano I could play every day. But if you squinted, it looked like a classical sort of Edwardian drawing room. It had big ornate paintings on the wall, oils, statues, sculptures around the mantelpiece and the fireplace. And, you know, if you squinted, it looked just like a Jane Eyre novel or something. And if you sharpened up, suddenly the Degas is actually Miss Piggy in a thing. And the big oil painting is Kermit on a swing, and, you know, it was a bit strange, wasn't it? It was a bit odd.
I started writing because I couldn't do anything else. I mean, really, you do not want... If I put up a shelf, it will come down. You don't want me driving the taxi that you're in. But I'm really good at making stuff up. That's what I do. That's what I love doing. You know, when I was a little kid, people would tell me not to make stuff up. And they'd never tell me what would happen if I did make stuff up. But they'd say, don't make stuff up. You'll make your stuff up again. And actually, if they do tell you what happens, what actually does happen if you make stuff up is people fly you all over the world. You don't have to get up early in the morning. You get to make movies. It's really cool. So I love making stuff up. I love writing it down. I love making up stories. So that was why I started.
First senior roles with Neil doing the pictures and Dave doing the writing.
I usually get the book after Neil signed it, so I get dust covers has a spread shot at Winchelsea Beach, one of my favourite, most beautiful place to be. I go and sit in amongst nature and the pillars and the water laps, and it's a very beautiful, peaceful, zen-like place. And I get the book, and Neil's drawn a little shark in the water, or little hands coming out, oh, save me, save me. Little word balloons going, ah, over it.
I think that's his way of telling you that he wants